My creativity is flowing because I'm not distracted by so many things that are pulling me here and there, that I'm not able to sit and just focus my energy on the things that I'm supposed to be working on. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Darian, and today I want to touch on isolation, seasons of isolation, and what that may actually mean for you. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so I am no stranger to seasons of isolation, and I have found that in those seasons of isolation, when I have finally come out of those seasons, I have come out better. Now, when I first started to experience those seasons of isolation, I was trying to fight it. I was trying not to surrender. I didn't know at the time at first that God was actually calling me into a season of isolation. And that is why I fought it, because I was very uncomfortable. I had never experienced many seasons of isolation in a lot of my earlier years, because as you're growing through your teenage years and earlier 20s, usually you're around family, you're around friends. You're not really taught to be by yourself or spend time by yourself to really grow and thrive. At least I wasn't in that time. And so when I got to a time around like my mid-20s, that is when I had one of the greatest seasons of isolation of my life. Even though it didn't feel that great when it first started, that season literally caused me to pivot in life, and it changed my life for the better. Again, in the moment, it didn't feel like it was for the better, but it truly was. And then God started to work in me, through me, and on my life. And it all just came together. So maybe you're going through a season, maybe you will go through a season and you just don't know what is happening, or maybe you have already come out of it and you're just trying to see what's next, what's happening next. I don't know if I'll necessarily be able to tell you specifically what may be next for you, but I can definitely give you some insight from my own life. So with every season of isolation that I have had consistently around that time, before I actually embark into that season, I noticed that there's so many different shifts. One of those shifts is that there is a lot going on when it comes to the relationships in my life. The people around me, it just seems like things start to get shaky. It seems like I'm starting to go through a lot of warfare when it comes to being around others. It's like things would absolutely be fine. Like I'm having fun, enjoying these moments with people, and it's like the veil is lifted off of my eyes regarding specific things. And then it's like things just start to get shaken up. And it's not that they're terrible people, but it's just for that next season that I am going to, they can't go with me, and I can't take them with me. And if I do take them with me, the consequences may not be good, because it may affect me negatively. They may not be ready to receive this new place that God is calling me to and that I'm embarking on. Whether it's a new job, whether you're moving to a new state and you're about to revamp your life, you're about to go to the next level. For some people, that could be entering a relationship, marriage, and those same people who may have been there in past seasons. Yes, you may love them. Yes, you have the utmost respect and want the best for them, but they may not be able to handle the transition into the new place. And that is okay, because people do come in different seasons. And then there are those seasons where it's time to move on, and it's time to embrace the new things that are happening in life and the new connections that are happening in life. It can start to get rocky for specific reasons. I have found in my life is because I was running my mouth too much. And God needed me to keep my mouth shut and not be around certain people, because the plans that I was speaking about, when you have a heart where you feel like, you're happy for others and you feel like others would be happy for you, they could not hear what was going on in my life. He did not want them to hear the different things that he is planning for my life. And so in those moments, if those same people were in my life, if I did not see certain things at certain times, I would have been given essentially not them as the enemy, but some of them did become enemies. Just being real, but I would be given the enemy intel on how to try to attack me spiritually, on how to try to cause warfare in my life as I am going to the next level. And so now I realize that that's not a coincidence, that every time it's time for me to go deeper and go into that season of isolation so that I can go to that next level, that certain relationships don't really withstand that change. And when you hold on to things that you're meant to let go of, that can come with consequences. And ask me how I know, because I have done that in the past. I've tried to hold on to things. I have tried to hold on to people, and that made it even worse. So when you do see these signs, when you do see these things happening, it's for a reason, to keep you from going further down the line and causing even more drama and stress in your life. And even as I'm talking about this, I remember a time where I was friends with somebody and the relationship ended. The relationship ended because I felt that it needed to end. I saw some negative things, and at that time, I just felt like there was no point in continuing going on. Years later, the person re-entered my life. Later down the line, the person did something that I never expected would have happened, and that person tried to hurt me. That person looked for an opportunity to pounce on me in my life, to try to set me back, or to try to stop me from whatever they felt like they could have stopped me from. But if I would have been more intentional about relationships back then, if I would have focused in on truly what are red flags that are being shown to me, I believe that I would have never had to really go through that. I believe that I could have avoided that. And now I'm able to connect it around the timing when it's time for me to move up and elevate and go to different places, to listen to the signs, to not try to bring people back up with you or bring people back in your life, especially when you're going to a new season or a new place. A lot of times they may not actually be sent from God. They may be sent from the devil, and they don't even know. You don't even know. So be mindful. If you keep noticing a pattern that relationships are shifting in your life and it seems like you're good one minute, then the next minute things are changing, and you can't really put your finger on why it may seem like it's so much warfare in relationships. It could be because you're supposed to be going into a season of isolation, and God may allow things to be shaken up so that you can see, like, hey, you need to come on in so that you can get the instruction and the intel for this next season. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Whenever I've had seasons of isolation, although I didn't really know at first what was happening, when I started to have these deep seasons of isolation, and when I say deep, I don't mean that it has to last for years. For some people it may last for years. For some people it may just be a few months. It just depends. We all have different lives, different callings, different jobs, so you may not necessarily be able to just leave your job and isolate. For some people you may be able to. So things work out differently in everyone's lives, but I'm talking about when you know for sure this is time for you to focus in on yourself and get intel on what you're supposed to be doing next in life. But anyway, in those times, I have noticed that once the season is ending for me in that isolation, or even while I'm still in it, I am receiving a lot of information about my life. Spiritually, I'm getting these downloads. I'm having these ideas come up. I want to do this. I should do this. I should try this. My creativity is flowing because I'm not distracted by so many things that are pulling me here and there, that I'm not able to sit and just focus my energy on the things that I'm supposed to be working on. All of a sudden now, I have vision for where I want my life to go in this next season. So those seasons of isolation have been crucial in my life for helping me to get to those next levels in my life. Those seasons of isolation have been crucial for me receiving the divine blueprints for me to walk out what I need to walk out. There are some people that I truly believe won't be able to go to the next level in their business or their company or whatever they're working on until they actually enter that season of isolation and surrender to it and get that breakthrough that they need so that they can now embark on that next level. If you have not gone through that isolation season, which serves as your preparation, then you could be missing out on some crucial information that you could have gotten. But because you're distracted by the things around you and going out all the time and hanging out with friends all the time and hanging out with family all the time, and it's nothing wrong with hanging out with others, but I have found that there are just some times where you have to sit still and get in that place so that you can get what you need to get from life in that moment. And let me make this very clear. I'm not saying isolate to where you have no community and you feel like you don't have anyone there, and maybe you feel like you're slipping into negative emotions and negative experiences and things. What I am saying is there are some times where there will be specific seasons where you may feel called to isolation, and you may not know why, but it may be more apparent after those seasons are ending or as you're going through those seasons. God may be calling you to isolation so that you can lean into Him and hear from Him. I didn't start hearing from Him until I embarked on that big first season of isolation that I went through. I pressed in, and that got me breakthrough. And that just changed my life around to the path that is fulfilling to me, to purpose. Birthing out the things that I'm supposed to be doing and focusing in on those things that I'm supposed to be doing. Doesn't mean that life is going to all of a sudden become perfect and you may not go through any warfare or struggles. No, but life changed for me in a better way to where I started to see things clearly, where I was going, and I had a new vision, fresh vision, the right vision for my life. It's hard to hear from Him when you have so many distractions around you. You have your family telling you where you're supposed to be doing with your life and where you're supposed to be going, and you're not supposed to do this and you have to do this. You have your friends saying a whole nother different thing. You need to do this, that, the third. You have society telling you you need to do this, that. You have so many voices telling you how life should be for you and what you should be doing and where you should be going. But when I was in that isolation season and I allowed the voices to fade away, I received clarity and I received the true instruction and direction for my life that helped me to get on the path that I was supposed to be on and that I am supposed to be on now. If you suffer with any type of idolatry of people, like it's hard for you to just let go and not go into the season of isolation, that may make it a struggle for you to actually rest in that season of isolation. If you struggle with loneliness and it's hard for you to be alone, that could make it hard for you to embark on your season of isolation. To be quite honest, I want to say when I first embarked on that first big season of isolation that I had in my life, that was a struggle for me. It was hard for me to let go and not be around people. It was hard for me to sit with myself in silence and really address the things going on in my life. And it was even hard to even just sit to receive the instruction, the divine intel, and all these things that God wanted me to receive because I was so used to being around people. I was so used to just having people in my ear and everywhere around me. It was uncomfortable at first, very uncomfortable. But God allowed me to continue to see for myself that people are people. God allowed me to continue to go through situations where people showed me their true hearts, where people were leading me astray on the wrong direction so that I could see for myself. So if you struggle with being able to stand firm in going into your season of isolation and letting go of those influences and people that are not meant to be in your life anymore, or maybe they are meant to be in your life, but you just need that time to, again, have that time with you and have that time with God. If you truly want to spend that time with Him, it takes intentionality. Your heart has to be ready to open up to that season and to experience what it will require of you. Okay, so let's get into this next topic. Your seasons of isolation could literally be where you are supposed to go to receive your healing and breakthrough for your life. So in my seasons of isolation, that is where I experience a lot of healing internally and renewing and refreshing for the next season. In my seasons of isolation, those are the times where all that stuff, that baggage that I was carrying emotionally, when I was doing the work along with it, because you can't just sit and expect, poof, is all gone. But when I was intentionally doing the work with that season, in that season, for that season that I needed to do, I noticed such a great change in me. The heaviness, the emotional weights, all the things I had gone through and never healed from, those are the times where I was getting the deliverance and healing that I needed for those seasons, so that in the new seasons I wasn't taking in all the baggage and all the negativity and all the different things that I experienced in the past. So seasons of isolation are meant to be seasons that help you to come out better. It's not meant to be a punishment. It's not meant for you to feel like, you're just being put on a lonely island. A lot of times we are called to these seasons for specific reasons. And healing and breakthrough was absolutely one of those reasons for me. It's kind of hard to heal when you're around others. When we all have our different personalities, experiences, being around people can require a lot from us. Being intentional in relationships can require a lot for us to have to give. And then we also can pick up a lot from people. Their hurts, their pains. People take stuff out on us, whatever the situation may be. But being around people, it requires work. And if you're trying to heal and you have those as distractions around you, it can be harder for you to go through that healing journey. Everybody is different, but sometimes you may be somebody who you completely just need to go off the grid so that you can reach your healing. I'm not saying don't call nobody ever. I'm not saying, just block everybody. But some people do actually need that time to go off grid. If you're trying to heal, you're in a season of healing, and you have a friend that's calling you 3 times a week to talk for hours, and you're already working and doing other stuff, are you really going to fully be intentional about healing and sitting in that isolation season and getting what you need? Probably not. And people can be used as distractions in these seasons to keep you from getting what you need to get. So I noticed that when I have situations like that, where it's like I'm supposed to be at my time focusing on myself, but all of a sudden now someone or people are continuing to call me and kind of like essentially leeching off of me, that actually can be considered spiritual warfare, that somebody is coming in to drain from me when this is my time to actually release what I have inside of me and be filled with good and better and healing. So pay attention to situations happening around you. Was this like this before? And even if it was like that before, is it time to put some boundaries in place and kind of set those boundaries so that you can move into that next season from a new place, from a healed place, and get everything that you need to be? I do believe in having boundaries and limits with people when it comes to your life. Give what you feel like you need to give, but there is such thing as overgiving and giving what you should have never given to somebody. So when it comes to your time and your space and your peace, you might need to be a little bit selfish about that. And truly, I'm not saying be selfish, but what I'm essentially saying is that you need to be guarded when it comes to your life. You need to be guarded when it comes to your space. You need to be guarded when it comes to the different seasons that you need to go to, the time that you need to spend for yourself, because at the end of the day, you are in control with what is going on around you. I know sometimes we look at life from a place of, oh, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, this person is doing this person is doing that. But in reality, we control our environment, what is happening around us, based off of how we respond to it. So don't be afraid to control your environment, when it's time for you to take that time for yourself and be in that season of isolation and get what you need to get. Don't be afraid that you're going to hurt feelings. To be honest, when you have boundaries, feelings are going to be hurt. But if somebody truly understands and loves you and cares about you and wants the best for you, they'll see that the boundaries that you're putting in place are to really help yourself, not to harm them. Okay, so let's jump into the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to seasons of isolation. A lot of times, some people may be going through seasons of isolation so that you can spiritually elevate and spiritually grow. And I believe that that was one of the main things that I experienced in isolation, specifically in that first season of isolation that I had. I grew spiritually so quickly and so exponentially, and that was literally like the foundation of my spiritual life now, and the foundation of how I know how to navigate growing spiritually now in my life. And of course, as we continue throughout life, we evolve and we grow and we learn more things. But that one season taught me so much when I was in isolation in so many different aspects of my life, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. There's been many times that I've gone back and referenced that season because it has helped me to navigate even the seasons that I'm walking through now, because of the time that I took to sit in that isolation and get the tools that I need for life now and where I'm going. I believe that we're spiritual beings, and a lot of times we do neglect that part of us. A lot of times we do not really spend as much time as we probably should focusing on our spiritual walk. And it does require discipline. It requires intentionality. But I believe that seasons of isolation, we usually are called into them because God wants us to grow spiritually. God wants us to mature and get to a new level. God may call us to grow in so many different ways. It could be maybe he wants you to get to a better place where you feel better about your body, and so he wants you to start being more active, and maybe your goal is to lose a certain amount of weight, so he's pushing you to focus on that. Or maybe it could just be you just need to heal from childhood trauma or trauma that happened a year ago. So he may be calling you again back in that season to heal. But spiritually, I feel like my season of isolations have taken me to a greater level. And one thing I like to reference is Christ himself. God himself has shown us that we need seasons of isolation from people. For him to say, I need to go in seclusion and pray and get away from people for a little bit. That says that I need to do that too. And I have found when I have been more willing to do that, again, not make a lifestyle of avoiding people. I'm not saying that, but, and it's your life too, so you know how much you can handle of people. I don't believe that there's a certain type of or a certain amount of exposure that people should have with other people. You know, if you're more introverted, extroverted, you know what you can handle regarding being out amongst people and around other people. But you should definitely be discerning. Is this a time where I need to withdraw from others, withdraw from the crowd, withdraw from the people that are closer to me? Because sometimes it could just be a thing of maybe you're a part of a big group and you just need to withdraw from that big group. Maybe the 2 or 3 friends that you have around you is fine for that season. Sometimes it may just be you need to withdraw completely from the groups that you have been around so that you can focus in. But there have been times where God just wanted me to himself. He was not trying to share me with nobody. And it's okay, because in those times I got to learn of his love in a different way and grow in his love. Again, I wasn't always as open to jumping in because it does require discipline. It requires being willing to shift how life may have been a couple of weeks ago so that you can experience these new experiences from this new place. Being able to withdraw a little bit and still going out when I feel like I need to be around other people and going out, but being able to withdraw in those moments helped me a lot to just have time to spend more time in prayer, spend more time in the Word, spend more time journaling and getting out my emotions. What have I been experiencing? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to dive deeper in? So just making sure that that time is spent doing things that are benefiting you. Fasting is something that I like to do. Fasting is something that I have found beneficial for me spiritually and even physically. I have felt so good when I have dedicated myself in certain times to fasting. That has also helped me to grow spiritually very fast. Oftentimes we neglect our spiritual side when we are constantly having people around us and speaking into us, and it can be easy to kind of put that side of us on the back burner, especially when you are around people who are carnal minded. If you're trying to think more from a different perspective, from a higher perspective, it is good to have those type of people around you. And it's also good to know when to limit company with certain people. And lastly, I just want to say that going through a season of isolation may not be the easiest. At first, it may feel so uncomfortable. You may want to run, and it definitely can be something that can challenge you. But I have found that when I have just surrendered and gone through those seasons and gotten what I needed to get from those seasons, I have come out so much better. I've come out brighter. I have come out new and refreshed and just feeling like I got what I needed to get so that I can take on this next level of my life. So don't always be quick to run from isolation. Yes, I do believe that there is such thing as a bad side of isolation, where isolation has become something that is unhealthy and not really beneficial in helping you grow. But I definitely have seen a side of going through a season of isolation that is healthy and good for you and is there to challenge you so that you can get to the better place. So discern if you are in a season of isolation. Are you actually called to be in isolation at that time? Are you isolating from negative behaviors or negative patterns that you have seen or have had in your life? And then see which way you need to navigate and go from there. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.